If you want an adventure, you could climb a mountain! Or ride dune buggies through the desert! Or you could just head to your neighborhood Zaxby's. Introducing the Smokehouse Cheddar Barbecue and Southwest Chipotle Filet Sandwich Meals. They're brand new and they'll take your taste buds to wild and exciting new places. Both feature our famous hand-breaded chicken, and they're both available for a limited time. Only at your neighborhood Zaxby's. And don't miss Jumanji: The Next Level, only in theaters.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. He is Corey S. Clark, senior writer for Warchant.com. I think the Cyber Monday promo code is actually still going. It is the zombie promo code.
Yeah, it won't die.
Promo codes. Save 50 FSU. Save 50 FSU gets you 50% off an annual membership to the ultimate Seminole sports source, Warchant.com. We had a nice little Warchant.com holiday party this past weekend.
We did.
It was nice to see everybody out there. We had the whole band out there. We had some of the mods that everybody loves on the message board. Some of the moderators were there.
Mm-hmm.
We had a recruiting dude, Michael Langston, who will join us later on the program to give us a wrap-up of the mega, ultra-huge weekend of recruiting that went down in Tallahassee. And then the bosses.
The pink elephant, not pink elephant.
White
elephant?
Yeah.
What's pink elephant? That's a whole different game. That was fun. Stephanie ended up with probably the best present. I don't know. They were all really – no, you probably ended up with the best present. Tell people what you got.
All right, so I don't know if what we do is actually technically a white elephant thing because we don't buy the gifts. Gene and his wife.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, it's all provided by
the Williams,
the Godfather. Yeah.
Yeah. So Gene and his lovely wife put prizes, gifts into these bags. So, these little holiday bags or whatever. And then one by one we draw numbers, and then we go in the order of the number that we drew, and then everybody has like one option of swapping out. So I grabbed something, and then Ira was like, I want to switch with you. So he ended up giving me his prize, and then he took my prize. And then at the end of the night, I had like the last go around, and I could have taken anybody's gift. I should have probably taken Steph's Kindle. That's actually a nice gift she got.
Yeah.
But I went for one of the other because I guess Gene and they bought too many bags because they figured I'd probably have a girlfriend by now, which I don't.
Right.
So there's a leftover bag or two, and I'm like, I'll get one of these leftover bags. I got like a $100 gift card to some spa.
Yeah.
So take a little birdie.
And you'll
there.
Use that more than anyone else, I bet.
Yeah, man. Self-care.
I know, buddy. I know.
Treat yourself. Treat yourself. The best self-care, though, is saddling up to Zaxby's and getting myself some chicken fingers and dipping them to the Zax sauce, as well as also dipping the fries. I don't even need ketchup. I don't even use ketchup anymore. They're like, you like any ketchup? I'm like, no, I'm good, man.
Use the Zax sauce?
No, everything is Zax sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Zax sauce on everything.
Put it on my salad.
So do that. I'll probably do that at least 2 more times before I go home for Christmas because then I'll be in El Paso for 5 days. And all right, before we get to Michael Langston, also cool programming note, as you guys are listening to this, and ladies, we'll probably be back up again. It'll be Wake Up!
Yeah.
We're gonna interview the head football coach, Mike Norvell, on Monday morning.
Is he coming to the studios?
Really early. I wish.
All right.
I tried.
That'd be something.
So you can actually do it from your crib if you want. You can
Absolutely.
go to the computer.
What do you think? I'm driving over here at 7 in the morning to look at you? No chance.
So I don't know if he's trolling us or if he's just from the Taggart School of Management, just likes waking up early in the morning and doing everything in the morning. Didn't Jimbo do his interviews with Cameron
Those
Sunday nights?
No, Sunday afternoons. Yeah. I think after he would do the TV show,
right? He
would do Jeff. I think.
We'll see. We'll try to charm Mike. See if he can maybe.
Well, we should try to do this every week.
Later.
We want to do this every week.
Right.
But if it's going to be at 7:30 in the morning, Mike, you're going to have to find another show, my man.
Yeah.
We'd rather pontificate ourselves anyway than have you tell us like facts.
Right. So we'll talk to him. That'll be on the podcast
that'll be Tuesdays.
Tomorrow.
That'll be on Tuesday's show, though, right?
Correct. Yeah. Because we'll have a lot to talk about because later on the day on Monday we'll also talk to the coordinators. So I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I want to talk to Kendall and Harlan one last time. Just kind of,
Oh, no.
Those aren't the coordinators.
That train has sailed.
Those aren't
the mixed metaphors.
The coordinators that we're going to speak to on Monday afternoon are Kenny Dillingham, the offensive coordinator, and Adam Fuller, the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So
that's cool though, because we didn't get I don't feel like we got Harlan and Kendall until the spring. I don't feel like it. It just makes sense, and it also said we're going to get assistant coaches later on in the week too. That's one of the availabilities. I don't know who and how many, but I just think that's a smart thing to do. You want people to know your coaches, to like your coaches, to feel like they are part of the program. I've never understood and will never understand not allowing all your coaches to speak if they're requested. It's never made sense. But yeah, so that's cool. Hopefully that'll be a sign of things to come, is that all these assistant coaches will be available throughout the season, and this isn't just a, hey, meet and greet, and then you can talk to them at the bowl in 12 months. I hope that this is how Norvell does it, because it just makes sense. If you want people to be bought it, if you just want people to know your program and care about your program, introduce them to all the people. If they're good enough to work at Florida State, they might be really impressive to these people, and they might. And I can tell you, the fans definitely want to hear them. They want to know who their coaches are.
That they do.
It doesn't matter if you're going 12-0, but it's still cool just for your fans to let them know who's getting $750,000 to coach, the offensive line, if and when that hire is made.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know that one yet. So that's a good segue into what we saw Saturday at the first practice in preparation for the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas, New Year's Eve. First practice, no pads, was maybe like 45 minutes, an hour they practiced?
Probably an hour, maybe, yeah. Yeah, maybe an hour at the most.
Brisk little practice. We actually were able to observe, good
half
grief,
of it?
like 30 minutes about of it. So that was cool. Thanks, Odell. Appreciate you. Saw a couple things that we did not see when they would practice, but again, it was, no pads or anything. So nice little tempo and pace to it. But I guess the story was who wasn't there, the people that weren't there. Randy Clements was not there. We were told that he's fine. He's still with the program. He's had something to tend to.
Right.
And then a whole slew of players weren't there.
You have to imagine he might have had an interview.
That's what I think an Ole Miss website actually reported. They thought that Clemens was actually going to be in Oxford
can't
on
begrudge
Saturday.
him that. He's got to take care of himself and his family, and he's not going to be the O-line coach here, it wouldn't appear.
Could be, though.
Maybe. But Kendall was there.
Right.
Jawan Williams was not there for personal reasons, quote unquote.
Same reasons that Odell alluded to. Whatever applied to the injury report, availability report for the Florida game is still applicable to Jawan.
Kalen was there, still not. But Odell said he wasn't sure if he'd be available for the game or not. But Kalen was at practice. Cam Akers was at practice, which was cool to see, even though he's not gonna be playing anymore for Florida State. That's awesome for him. Congratulations on a really nice career. Finished 5th all time on the rushing list. Marvin was out there. Dontavius Jackson was not there. Alex Hornibrook was not there.
The latter two focusing on their future endeavors.
Yeah, Odell said preparing for the draft. We'll see what draft he's talking about. But, that's 2 times now you've had a sort of big-name transfer quarterback come in for a senior season.
He was a big name. He
was a known name.
13th on the draft list.
He was a known name. Right?
Wasn't known. People knew him. He came from a good program, but it wasn't because of him.
Big name, not like it's not like he was, Justin Fields, but a big name that people knew the name.
Well, I don't even think he's in the same neighborhood as Everett Golson. Everett Golson took his team to a national championship game, 2 years prior or whatever. I thought there was a lot more juice.
Yeah, but same thing. Like a guy that you knew, a guy that had played in a winning program, came down to start anew at a new college for his final year, and then bounces before the bowl game. Yeah. That's what you get when you get these guys. They're not bought in at all. They're not, and you get it. He's not going to play. He's not. Why would you play him? You'd play the guys that are going to be on your roster next year. There's literally no need to play Alex Hornibrook. So I get it, but that's what you're getting when you get these transfers for the 1 year. Once they see that the writing's on the wall that they're not playing, they have no connection to this university, really no connection to their teammates. It was 4 months. It was a rental, and now he's on to the next one.
I do wonder if Odell told Kendall just roll with James the rest of this way, or if Kendall just decided to do that, or Hornibrook is still hurt. It's a bizarre sort of thing, just because of all the sort of pushback we got for a lot of folks that were, you guys just don't get it. You guys keep talking about arm strength. There's more to playing quarterback than that. He's got it. Give him a chance.
Well, and he had some nice moments. He did. It's a weird thing. I think if Blackman plays against Miami, they have a much better chance of winning that game. Much better. But if Hornibrook plays against Virginia, maybe Florida State wins that game. You know what I mean? Like certain defenses provided different challenges. Hornibrook had no chance against Florida. There would have been no point in playing him anyway. And so he's off the team. It was a good run. We'll always have 2019, Alex.
Got that Louisville game.
No
take a Syracuse game away from him either.
Yeah. So he had some nice moments.
NC State.
Yeah, big time. He outdueled Bailey Hockman. We'll always remember the Hockman-Hornibrook battle that we witnessed.
Where were you when that went down? But yeah, so a lot of players also missing due to graduation, which is fine, obviously.
Janarius, Abdul Bello, Babion.
Big baby. So shout out to those guys. Congrats. That's always a cool thing. I do wonder, because I know Joe Burrow, Heisman winner Joe Burrow.
That's what I voted for,
Can you unveil your ballot or no?
Yeah, I think we're allowed to.
Afterwards you can.
Actually, we were driving back from Nate Bargatze. He's a comedian, folks. If you haven't seen his special on Netflix, go watch it. It's awesome. He's really funny. Very clean. He's our second favorite comedian. Anthony Jeselnik is our favorite comedian, and he is not clean.
And by we, he means he and Steph.
Me and Stephanie, yeah. Stephanie and I. Jeselnik is really funny, but he has a particular type of humor, and it can be off-putting maybe if you're not into it. But anyway, it's really funny. I like him a lot. But Nate Bargatze's right up there. I really like Nate Bargatze, and he played in Atlanta on Saturday night, the day of the Georgia-LSU game.
Oh, all right.
So we had to leave the party we were at halftime to go drive an hour because it's Atlanta to go to where Nate Bargatze was playing. And it was my birthday present. She had gotten these tickets for my birthday back in June.
Okay.
And I wasn't all that fired up about missing the Georgia-LSU game.
Right.
For a comedian, although I really like him. But once I saw how the game was going and I watched the first half, I'm like, I'm not missing anything. This is fine. We're going. And, so anyway, on the way back, the LSU had won, obviously, by a lot, and then Ohio State had won. So I had her do my vote on my phone. She went to my phone and did my ballot because it's electronic.
Teamwork.
They text you your password and your username, and then you go in there and you vote for it. And so, So Stephanie technically voted.
Okay.
Joe Burrow was my number 1.
Right.
Chase Young was my number 2.
Ooh.
And Trevor Lawrence was my 3rd.
Oh, no love for Justin Fields.
Screw that guy. Screw that dude. No, I think Chase Young's probably the best player in the country, right? He's the best defensive player in the country, and defense is a really big deal. Yeah. So I went with him. I know he missed the 2 games. I don't care about a girlfriend being flown out to watch a football game. Sorry, man. Yeah. I would have voted if I had a vote. Peter Warwick would have been my Heisman winner in '99. I don't care. I don't care about the $350 discount at Dillard's. Yeah. He was the best player in the country. So I didn't like my 3rd choice. I just wanted to reward Clemson because they're so good. Yeah. And I didn't know if I should go with ATN or even Simmons, the linebacker.
That kid, Isaiah Simmons,
he's really good.
Ridiculous.
So, but I was like, man, Trevor Lawrence has been – I know they haven't played in any close games, but he's been awesome the last 2 months of the season. Like, I don't know if he's thrown like 1 pick and 30 touchdowns or whatever he has in the last 8 weeks. So, he's really good. So, I don't feel bad about it. Not Justin Fields, though. No.
Did you see what he's wearing? Like red tux, black lapel. It looked more like what you would wear if you were Georgia.
You know where he wants to be. Something happened. I'm just glad that we got Fromm instead of Fields. What did Fields do? Like 40 touchdowns and 1 pick?
Something
the whole season. Meanwhile, Georgia's averaging 19 points a game. It's awesome. Good times.
Man. But there was a quote that Burrow had after one of his games talking about how it's cool to see the students give him love because he doesn't go to class. And I go online classes. Like, I wonder if Hornibrook was the same. Like, if Hornibrook ever even really interact. Like, does he know where Strozer Library is? Does he know where anything on campus, or did he just do like online courses for 3 months?
Wouldn't you think that's absolutely he wouldn't? Like I'm sure he's in a graduate degree program.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would assume he's just doing it online, right?
That's crazy.
It's a weird life, man. I'm trying to think of Jameis, like his 3rd year at Florida State, his sophomore year. I think all his classes were online because they didn't want him, I was going to say interacting, standing on tables, but that was his sophomore year. But I do think like they had made it where most of his classes were online just because of, it was hard for him to walk on campus and get from one class to another because of.
Come on, man. You're still a student athlete, man. Go out there.
Be a part of it.
Be a human being.
I might be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of another player. I know there was a player on Florida State's campus that almost all of his classes were online. But I thought it was Jameis, but I might be wrong.
I had a buddy who allegedly had a large auditorium-sized classroom with Chris Winkie, and like Winkie just like walked in super late to class like after he won the Heisman or something, or like left early, and then the teacher's like, "Well, Chris, where are you going? We're not done yet." He's like, "Man, I won the Heisman. I'm out of here."
That's a good retort.
Just straight up, like,
yeah.
I'm gone. So, I mean, I don't know how many scholars. Well, that's again, a lot of the guys were out because of graduation, so they'll have a somewhat complement. I mean, I don't know. Are they gonna have 70 players on scholarship available when you factor in like, all the
Maybe. I
injuries
wouldn't even
they've had?
think 70 scholarship players. I think it'd be less than that with the injuries, and then
Cam
Akers
out.
not playing, Marvin not playing. I mean, I guess Marvin was out anyway with the injury, but yeah, man, maybe 70, maybe 65. Who knows if Jawan's playing? Who knows if Kalen's playing? I don't know what they're going to do at running back.
Yeah.
Anthony Grant's still not. He wasn't on practice on Saturday, so I don't know what. It'd be a lot of Dante Sheffield, I guess. Deontay, sorry, and then throwing the ball to Terry. You got him for one more game, is my feeling.
Yeah.
So just throw the ball to him a lot. Use him. Be a good coming out party for him.
So I guess the story you wrote coming out of practice was just what we asked the players their thoughts on Mike Norvell.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, right? Because he's only met with them the one time, and it was the Sunday of his press conference. I would have figured he'd have maybe had another one in the last couple days or maybe Friday night before their first bowl practice. Mm-hmm. But I get it. Like, ingratiating yourself to them right now, to me, you have a lot of time to do that. It's not nearly as important as this recruiting class. And it was a huge weekend in recruiting. They had every commitment on campus, plus other kids that they're trying to get commitments from. So he's been really busy. And he's been really busy trying to recruit, being on the road, making connections, building relationships, and then also the coaching staff, putting that together. So at first I was like, wow, you've only talked to him once for probably 5 or 10 minutes? But then that makes sense. He doesn't strike me as a guy that is going to be standoffish with his players. I don't think he's a guy that's not going to meet with them or listen to them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's a figurehead. He'll have more team meetings, and he's going to build trust and build a relationship with his team. So at first, when they said that, I'm like, well, that's a little odd that they've only met with him once for 5 minutes. But now I get it, and it's not anything that would concern me at all. Like, it's his team. He's going to meet with them quite a bit.
Well, the interesting thing I thought sort of was, I mean, I think most of the quotes in your story are from Tamori and Terry. And Terry,
yeah, he loved him. Yeah, he said a
him.
lot of nice things about him. Yeah.
But, I spoke to James Blackman, and then I interviewed Emmett Rice, and it was just kind of, generic platitude sort of things. Like, yeah, we met him not once. Nice guy. He's got good energy. It wasn't like, really over the top. Asked Odell, was it hard for you to stay on board, or, were you excited as ever to help this guy get things rolling? He's just like, told y'all, I love my school. I love these kids. That was his answer. So I guess there probably still has to be a little more fostering of a relationship between the current roster, current staff, and him. But to your point, he's busy. Got other stuff to do. Hey, guys, I got to go get us more help.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing with Blackman, Blackman was not effusive at all. He was not over the top. But I also get it. It's his third coach in 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is. And he's rightly worried, am I going to be the quarterback here next year? Now I got another coach, my third coach that I got to go perform for and try to win this job, which is, that's sports. That's life. I don't feel sorry for him in that regard.
I mean, if we're not college, though, I mean, it's unfortunate.
Oh, it is. It is. But, I mean, like, you still have to go earn your spot. And you do that even if Willie was coming back. Well, who knows? Willie probably wouldn't have a quarterback to sign, so it'd be all you, James, you and Jordan. I did. I wasn't really – James didn't blow you away with his praise of his new coach. But Norvell's right, man. Like, why would any of these guys – he does have to build trust. A year from now, we don't know how this will shake out. If we're interviewing James Blackman a year from now for another bowl game, he might be over the top in his praise for Mike Norvell. He does not know the guy. He's seen him for 5 minutes. And, and these kids have been kind of burned by coaches in the past. So I get that they're a little there's some trepidation there, and there's hesitancy to buy in. I guess they'll buy it in the spring is when he can start earning their trust, and we'll take it from there. But yeah, I think if you look at those videos and you're wanting these guys to be over the moon and doing cartwheels about their new coach, that wasn't happening. But that would have been kind of surprising if it had happened, right?
Yeah.
He's only been here a week. They don't know him real well.
Yeah. I was just curious, not curious, but just interesting. I thought that Terry, who's most likely not going to be here, was like the most over-the-top kind of guy about it. And maybe just, trying to leave behind a good legacy and trying to let these guys know what they need to do to get things back on track. Embrace it, buy in, culture, climb, all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, sure.
Otherwise, the staff still has some spots to be filled in. If I could steal a nugget. I mean, at what point are Nuggets ready to take off the tribal council, we can give it to the commoner. The one that I did want to share.
3 days, maybe a 3-day.
Yeah, I've been out that. We're outside that window.
Statute of limitations.
So obviously Ryan Silverfield, who's was the interim coach at Memphis, was kind of rumored to be the guy coming over to help with the offensive line, has taken the full-time job at Memphis. So best of luck to him. We'll see where he ends up. Who knows? Maybe like Memphis is like the cradle of coaching now. Maybe.
Yeah, it's the Tulsa. It's the Tulsa of college basketball, or it's the Tulsa of college football.
Yeah. Or the Arkansas State of the new decade that's about to come upon us or so. Arkansas State had like Hugh Freeze, Gus Malzahn, Brian Harsin.
Okay.
All those guys.
I didn't know Brian Hart. The guy at Boise was from Arkansas State?
No, he's not from, but he did go there for he took
Walt
over.
Bell?
Yeah, he took over Hugh. But these guys were head coaches at Arkansas State. Like Hugh Freeze was a head coach there. Gus Malzahn was a head coach there. Brian Harsin was a head coach there. So defensively, I guess I'll be interested to speak to Adam Fuller to kind of see what he thought.
Oh, by the way, so apparently I had multiple people tweet at me. That's what I get for trusting Wikipedia.
Oh,
Wikipedia had said he'd only been a DC the last year at Marshall and his the only year at Memphis. But apparently he was also the DC at Chattanooga for 4 years. Again,
people come at you with that. Like, hey, show respect.
They were just like, he's been a DC for 6 years, not 2. Which, I mean, I was wrong. I'm not going to dismiss it and say, whatever, it doesn't matter. I was wrong. I said 2. It's been 6. I don't like to be wrong. But the point of him not doing it at a big school still remains. I mean, right. Being the head coach at Assumption, being the DC at Chattanooga for 4 years, and being the DC at Marshall for 1 year.
He was only at Marshall for 1 year?
No, he was at Marshall for a while, but I think he was only the DC for 1 year. Yeah. Unless Wikipedia is wrong on that, too. They might as well. Hey, I don't even know if Wikipedia even knows who they're talking about.
And they're trying to do their annual drive, asking for donations.
Yeah, hey, man, get that DC stuff fixed with Fuller, and I might give you some money. But what was interesting with the Marshall is that he did, just like he did at Memphis, his 1 year as the DC at Marshall, they improved by like 10 points per game and 80 yards per game. Like, they made a huge jump in 1 year. So maybe he's a miracle worker, man. Maybe he is. It's going to be interesting. You're taking a huge leap up in competition on the recruiting trail and just the kind of players you're coaching to go from Chattanooga, Marshall, Memphis to Florida State. That's a big, precipitous jump. I guess usually you say precipitous as a drop.
Right.
I feel like I don't know if it can be used.
Pretty
as a
ambitious.
Jump. Yeah. There you go. Sure. It's a big difference.
Yes.
There you go. That's better.
I do wonder because I don't, say what you will about recruiting ratings. Again, I'll take the top 3 class over the top 15. If I could have a number 3 class or number 13 class blindly, I will take the number 3 class every single time. I don't care what my needs are. Just feels like you have the best players. Stockpile even certain positions, you'll be all right. I do find it kind of interesting because I know that this is the most important hire. It's the defensive coordinator hire, and I think of all the hires, you could take your most time on that one because I feel defensively they're not involved with anybody that's blue chip. There's no 5-star, 4-star defensive end out there really that they're in hot or that they had already committed that they had to kind of keep on board. And I mean, I guess there was one 4-star guy I think from St. Thomas Aquinas that they went after, a Doomerville kid. I guess maybe getting Adam Fuller on board quickly helps you get your foot in the door with a 4-star kid or whatever. But I never thought you should really be that beholden to this recruiting class in terms of it affecting maybe the way you're going to hire guys or things of that nature. So I kind of he could have taken some more time, but maybe he really just thinks that this guy's it, man.
I mean, I think that's it. I don't feel like he was under pressure from either the administration or recruits' families about, hey, man, who's your DC? We need to know the DC now. I just think he thought, man, this guy really knows what the flip he's doing. He really impressed him in that 1 year. He impressed him enough to hire him from Marshall. And then in that 1 year and the improvements they made, he was around him for 300 days. He saw how they made adjustments in games and in practice. He must really think because you're kind of tying your whole career to this guy. This is a huge hire from Mike Norvell, the biggest hire. And for you to do that after just one season, I know I was talking about it last week that the perception could be that he made the easy hire because he's just right down the hall. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I don't want to do a full search. Let's just go right down the hall and see if my man Adam wants to do it. But he doesn't strike me as the type of head coach that would make a decision like that kind of willy-nilly or Willie Taggart. So I don't think he did that. I think he legitimately thinks, man, this guy is he must have really, really impressed him in that year, just like he did at Marshall. Holiday had nice things to say about him at Marshall, so maybe he is an up-and-comer, and maybe he is a savant when it comes to defense. Because heck, man, you need somebody around here that is, I don't get the impression from him that he would make a hire like that just because he's panicked and he has to get it filled quickly. I think he's been thinking about who he wants to be as DC for a month.
Right.
And this guy, he might have been trying to eliminate him the whole time. Like, man, I need to go get a bigger name. He's good. I need to go get a bigger name, though. Yeah, he's good. He's really good. He's really good. He needs to come with me. Maybe that's what he was thinking. I don't know. They are 12-1 together.
Yeah. I just think it's maybe some of the collateral damage or just kind of what you get when you have a coach that's 38 years old that's been coaching at the same stop for the last 3 years or whatever, that probably doesn't have as big of a network, as big of a net of guys that he knows. And I mean, that was the thing you mentioned last week that I thought was kind of interesting about, like, when Jimbo got the job. I mean, I think he had a relationship with Eddie Graham, but I don't think they'd worked together for, obviously they didn't work together while he was at Florida State. I don't think they didn't work together when he was at LSU. I think he knew
him from Auburn, I think.
Yeah, so it'd been like a long-standing relationship he had. Rick Trickett, he brought with him when he took the OC job. So, I mean, everyone's going to bring in guys they know, which is fine. I'm not saying don't just totally go hire outside your family and off the tree. But right now you've got, an offensive coordinator in name only pretty much, and then Kenny Dillingham, which, again, it could be a good thing. The offense needs to get better. You have a guy who knows the way you want to run practices, the way you want to run.
And I think he will be a QB coach. I think he's not a QB coach in name only. I think he is a QB coach. And that's an important position.
Yeah. Well, it's important that you bring a right person in that spot. I just think that kind of was a nice layup that he had set up for himself, which is a good thing. I mean, I'm not discounting that at all. But right now he retained Ron Dugans, he retained Odell. The nugget that Gene put up there is that there's been some conversation between Terrell Buckley and Norvell or the staff.
Norvell, you need to make it. We're going to have him on the show tomorrow. Yeah. That's going to be, hey, man. Yeah. But are they allowed to? I guess you're allowed to talk about that kind of stuff, aren't you? It's not like recruiting when you can't mention the kid's name.
Well, he won't say specific. Like, we're trying to find the best guy that we can to fit our culture and make, blah, blah, blah. But it'd be cool if he would make some sort of, splashy hire and pull the guy like a Mike McIntyre from Ole Miss. Like, I'm going to pull the defense coordinator from Ole Miss. We're going to throw money at him. We're going to bring him in because I think he's that good of where he's been. He's been head coach at Colorado, coach of the year there, made Ole Miss's defense huge step up. But to your point, Memphis's defense got better, and he saw it kind of firsthand. But it's going to be just kind of interesting to see the way that this staff, all the enthusiasm and optimism that people have about Mike Norvell himself, this staff isn't necessarily one that is like a nationally known kind of band of guys, really. I mean,
right.
Like these aren't guys that Bruce Feldman's tweeted about, and Joel Klatt and all these, Football Scoop talks about guys up and comers. We mentioned Pete Golding was a guy that was at UTSA and ended up at Alabama because his name had floated around there. Josh Gaddis came out of nowhere and was helping things out at Alabama, and then Jim Harbaugh threw him a whole bunch of money. And again, hey, look how that worked out. Look how Jeremy Pruitt worked out. I don't think anybody that's honest with themselves, I know I wasn't stoked about hiring Jeremy Pruitt. Like, some guy that was coaching high school 3 years prior
ago,
or whatever.
Been a GA 2 years ago.
So, but again, it's you mentioned he was confident that he's going to get this thing right, and he wants to be the guy that can get this program fixed. And his contract to a large degree is him betting on himself. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt, I guess. We'll see how Adam Fuller is when we talk to him on Monday. What do you want to ask Adam Fuller?
I don't know. I hadn't really given it a lot of thought.
Favorite movie? See what his favorite movie is.
How many years has he been a defensive coordinator? I got to fix your Wikipedia page, man.
Chattanooga. They're the Moccasins, I think.
The Moccasins. Yep.
I don't even know what conference they're in.
Southern, maybe?
I'm about to say Sun Belt, but I don't think they're in the Sun Belt.
I don't know.
I'd look it up if I cared more about it. But yeah, all right. So we got that. Otherwise, I don't want to gloss over too much about Cam's career. We didn't mention on the show last week, but Trayshawn Harrison put his name in the transfer portal. He was not at practice.
Correct,
Malcolm Lamar, another guy who put his name in the portal, was not at practice. Warren Thompson was not at practice. Should have probably asked Odell about him to see what the deal is, because he's still on the roster. But then again, so was Alex Hornibrook.
Right.
So I don't know if they've updated that or how they're going to go about doing that. But, I mean, especially with Terry on the horizon and potentially leaving, boy, it'd be nice to keep Warren Thompson around.
Yeah, but, you hear about the way you hear about the way some stuff happened in the fall with him,
Yeah, man, I've gotten up and walked out of podcasts before.
I know you have, and it kind of says something about you. I mean, it's hard to work with you. So yeah, I don't know if, again, when you talk about addition by subtraction, and I don't know Warren Thompson. I've talked to him once in my life, but the way he handled this year wasn't a good sign. You're a sophomore, you're a redshirt freshman, right? Mm-hmm. Did he? Yeah. I mean, come on, man. I'm sure there were things that made you upset, but then, leaving practice the way he did apparently, and then his mom was it Facebook?
Yeah.
Just went off on the your head coach. And talking about how much he lied, and whether she was treated wrong by Willie Taggart or not. Man, it's rough to have your family doing that, man. That's not a good look. Just not a good look to be coming at the head coach. Because yeah, man, some kids don't get to play as much as they want. That's life, especially when you're young. So anyway,
who are they going to throw the ball to then?
You're going to have Keyshawn Helton. You're going to have DJ Matthews. Tamarian Terry will be back for his redshirt.
I mean, honestly, if he doesn't come back, who are you throwing the ball to?
A lot of Cam McDonald. Yeah, man, I don't know. You got to recruit some. You're not gonna have a lot of options, but go get some good players. Maybe somebody in the transfer portal. Maybe somebody like that.
I think there was a guy from where is the guy?
Jordan Young.
Some guy from Michigan.
JY.
Tariq something from Michigan was in the.
There you go.
Yeah, Jordan Young. That'd be nice if he took a step forward. He was getting loud praise from Dugans during practice on Monday.
Maybe Memphis has some guys that can come.
That was the thing that kind of stood out in my head more than anything. Was just watching the practice on Saturday. Was just wondering, like, what are they going to look like in the bowl game, and what are they going to look like in 2020?
Yeah, I think Willie Taggart was fired because of what they're going to look like in 2020. I don't think, I know David Coburn said 6-6 isn't good enough, which is he was already going ahead and chalking up Florida as a loss because he has a brain that works. So we all knew they were going to lose to Florida. He's basically saying even if we beat Boston College, 6-6 isn't good enough, which is true. But it's definitely not good enough when you go 6-6 against that schedule. You have a harder schedule next year with a worse roster. That to me, that was the mathematics of the equation. It's like we're not getting better, even though we won one more game than we did last year. Is this a better team than last year? Probably. I think 19's team could have beaten 18's team just because the offense was better, although it didn't have Brian Burns. But 2020's team might not have been able to beat either of them. That's how bad it looks like it's setting up for 2020 if you're going to keep going if you're going to stay on the same path. And I think that's what scares you. It's like there was no hope that it wasn't like you were taking a huge step with a bunch of young guys and the offensive line was coming into form. And you're like, man, in 2020, when we have Laybird and Anthony Grant running behind these guys, I mean, you don't know what either one of those guys are. Anthony Grant's did he even play this year?
No.
Did he play last year? He just returned kicks, right? He might have had 2 carries.
Yeah.
Who the receiver's going to be? You're losing your best defensive player. So yeah, there was that to me is it wasn't just that 2019 was just straight up average, and the 18 was awful, but then it was like looking ahead at 2020, it didn't look like there was any hope that it would be better, right? And yeah, so when you look at the practice field and you see. Not that Dontavius Jackson was a great player, but he's gone. So you see what the linebacking core is going to look like for next year. You see what the O-line group is going to look like for next year. The receivers, maybe without 15, what they're going to look like for next year. And you're like, oh, yeah, this is going to be tricky. I don't know. I mean, it's not a roster loaded with a ton of great talent. Let's put it that way. Proven talent. Maybe they are good. But I think this bowl game, I don't expect them to win this bowl game, but it will be good just to play as many young guys as possible. Give them what does it matter if you win this game? It literally is the most meaningless game Florida State has played, and I can't even win because it's not like you have a streak to worry about.
Yeah.
The winning streak was over last year.
Yeah.
So you win or lose, who cares? You made the bowl, great. So you started a new bowl streak. But as far as winning the game, it does not matter at all. And I can't think of a more meaningless game that Florida State has played since I've been watching Florida State football.
The Emerald Bowl.
Yeah, but that kept the winning streak alive. They were 6-6 going into that
on.
game. So at least you're trying to keep that streak alive.
Yeah.
This has nothing on the line. And it's in El Paso. Sweet, sweet El Paso.
I'm
You're getting fired up? You're getting more fired up about it?
I am genuinely optimistic and excited about the trip. I really am.
Man,
Listen,
but
man,
you're living life. You know what I mean? You're going to a part of the country you might never get a chance to go back. It's a different part of the world. It's a different part of the country. Never been there.
And I'm not big city Clark. I don't live in Atlanta half the year.
Yeah.
I'm in Tallahassee all the time.
I got you, man.
They've got a Top Golf. We don't have a Top Golf. They might have a Cheesecake Factory. We ain't got a Cheesecake Factory. Like, what's the one thing Tallahassee needs to cement itself as a welcome to the 21st century?
Gas stations? You know my answer to that. Gas stations.
What's wrong with the gas stations here?
They're all, what do you mean what's wrong with the gas stations?
What are wrong with them?
They're awful. Have you been to what are they called? Sheets in North Carolina?
No.
QTs, Wawas.
You talk about QTs like I talk about I think about when I talk about Jimbo and you cringe. That's what I think of when you talk about QTs. I'm like, why do you hype QTs up so much?
Because they're well lit. They pay their employees very well. They get good. They get real retirement benefits and stuff. So they get properly trained employees that care.
Okay.
That aren't just. I'll go into I'm not going to name the gas stations that litter this town, but I'll walk into one and there's nobody behind the counter and I'll have passed the guy sitting on he was sitting on the water bottles outside, like the big crates of water.
Yeah.
Just smoking a cigarette. And I'm waiting on him to be done with his cigarette so he can come ring me up. That stuff happens all the time at the gas stations in Tallahassee. So that would be the one thing. It's just and you haven't experienced it. I don't know if you've ever lived in a town that had I think they're called Wawas.
Oh yeah, we got Wawas back home. They put them in Tampa area.
They're awesome, right?
There's one they're great. I stop there now on the way back up to Tallahassee or on the way into town.
Yeah, they're well lit.
The food
they're
is
safe,
amazing.
They have good food.
Yeah, not as good as Zaxby's, but good.
Sure. And then you go into what we have here in Tallahassee. I don't understand why don't we have the ability to have those types of gas stations? Why are we just stuck in the muck of it's just a circle of hell?
Jeez.
That's its nickname. That's my nickname for it.
Oh,
Hope nobody that works there listens to this show.
why couldn't they put the Busy Bee here,
Yeah. Just a Busy Bee Junior. Obviously you can't have something like that in Tallahassee that that's 4 football fields long.
Put it out next to the car museum.
Yeah, I would go out of my way 20 minutes to go fill up there and do my grocery shopping. That's my fault. I go into gas stations too much though because I don't shop. I don't grocery shop. I eat out all the time. It's the only reason I go to gas stations a lot is just to get drinks and snacks. So I need to stop doing that.
I think we should start playing tennis, you and I. Once
Okay,
a week.
that sounds perfect.
I'm being serious.
All right, I like tennis.
I think we should get you active and stuff,
So, yeah, not to gloss over Cam's career, though, but a great segue there, going from gas stations to him. But, yeah, I mean, we all saw it. I was wondering if he'd play in the bowl game, but it just doesn't make sense to do it.
Oh, absolutely. How close is he to 4th or 3rd? If he would have had...
He was 80 yards away from Greg Allen, and he would have been 4th, I think. Either 5th or 4th. I think he finished 5th, and if he passed Greg Allen, he'd be 4th. He's like 90 or 80 yards away from Greg Allen.
How close was he to cracking the top 3?
Yeah, a long way away. He'd had a big game. He'd had a
I'm not saying for
400-yard
one
game.
I'm just wondering if this offense just wasn't so horrible last year. What could have became?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, he had 3 1,000-yard seasons for sure, and I think Dalvin and Warwick Dunn were the only 2 that ever did that in Florida State history. So yeah, I mean he's right up there. I think when you look at Cam's career, behind Dalvin, behind Warwick, and I think he's on par with everybody else. Would you agree with that? I'm not going to say he's better than Greg Allen or he's better than Devontae Freeman, although he has better numbers because he didn't have to split carries. But he was a feature back for 3 years. Devontae was like a year and a half. But I think he's on par with those guys. Amply, Devontae Freeman, Greg Allen. Yeah. I think Cam Akers belongs in that list.
Absolutely.
He was really good. He just came at an awful time. Just like Marvin Wilson belongs with the Darnell Dockett's and Travis Johnsons and Broderick Bunkleys of the world. He just came at the wrong time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think if Cam had enrolled from 11 to 14, or 12 to 15 or 12 to 14, it's been 3 years. Yeah, I mean, I think he absolutely – I mean, he wouldn't have had the dynamic, crazy, game-breaking runs that I think Dalvin had, but he would have been – he would have gone down top 3. I mean, I think he might have been in that top-tier crust that you're talking about with Warwick and Dalvin.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I don't – just looking at him, he's a very good running back, but I watched all 3 of those. I watched the other 2 guys play every game of their careers. He just wasn't that.
Yeah.
He wasn't. But that's not a negative. I mean, who is? Those 2 are 2 of the all-time great college running backs of all time. Neither one of them ever got invited to New York for the Heisman either. Ridiculously. Yeah. Like Dalvin, like I saw people on Twitter upset when the finalists were announced that the guy from Wisconsin wasn't sent to New York. Yeah. Well, number one, he is a very good running back and a very good player, but
everybody
at Wisconsin.
Year, yeah.
It's why I wouldn't. There was no way in a million years that I was ever going to vote for Jalen Hurts. Yeah. It's like, okay, man, you're the Oklahoma quarterback. We get it. You're going to be a Heisman finalist. That's just how it works. I'm not impressed by that. But he is a very good running back. I don't want to take that away, but I wanted to be like, and I didn't tweet about it because I do it too much anyway, but I was like, yeah, man, Dalvin behind that offensive line put up incredible numbers in 15 and 16. Yeah. Never even got a sniff to New York, man. It's ridiculous. Derrick Henry won it, and I promise you Derrick Henry isn't as good a running back as Dalvin Cook. Not in college anyway. And Derrick Henry was really good. Yeah. But who did he run behind?
Right.
Shoot, good grief.
If they would have beat Clemson in 16, I think he might have snuck in there.
Nope. I mean, what else would he have? Like, he was the only reason they were in the game.
Every game.
Yeah, but I mean, that game in 16 where he had the 2 long runs and then he had the other one that was sort of called back, the Freddie Stevenson block. He still finished with 3 touchdowns against the eventual national champions, carried Florida State with Francois as your quarterback. You had a lead in the fourth quarter. You had over 30 points behind that offensive line, and he's not good enough to be invited to New York. Every year I voted him. I think I voted him second that year. Yeah. And the year before I might have voted him first the year before.
Can you vote for anybody, or is there a ballot of like 20
No, it
players?
just says name, school, and you type it in.
All right.
So, you can vote for anyone. If I had voted for Trayshawn Harrison and make him my 3rd player, would I have been asked not to do it again, do you think?
Well, supposedly, like there's 5% of the ballots that even have Joe Burrow on it.
I was not one of those, by the way.
I would hope that those 5% of people lose their ballot. How can you not have him on your ballot at all?
Yeah. You don't watch football.
Then why do you have a vote? That's the thing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think about his speech real quick? It was amazing. That's the best speech I've ever seen.
Didn't see it.
Really?
Yeah, paraphrase it for me.
The whole thing, he just...
Was it about trusting the process?
No, man. It was the most human, sincere, humble acceptance speech. It was great, man. It was great. Man, say he's doing it for the poor people that he grew up with in Athens, Ohio, and Southeast Ohio. He's,
I didn't realize. Did you know his dad was an OC?
Like his dad played in Nebraska. His dad played high school ball in Mississippi.
But I think his dad was the OC at like Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
And then
for a long time. I think he retired last year.
He quit last year. Right. I heard this on the I think I was listening to the pregame Army-Navy, and they were talking about Joe Burrow, I guess, before the Heisman ceremony, and said that he quit. He knew that their championship game, their MAC championship game, was his last game because he was going to quit. He's like, you know what? I've never gotten to watch him play football, ever, and I just want to do it for a full year. I just want to go and watch my son play football and not have to worry about my own thing. Yeah. And imagine getting to watch that year with those people in that stadium with those wins. Good grief, man. Yeah. Brady, you need to give me some – you need to make it happen for me, man. I put myself in that position, and I'm like, man, what a great life it must be to be Joe Burrow's dad.
Yeah. That was super cool. And then last thing I want to talk about before we get to Michael Langston, talk about recruiting. Lane Kiffin hired Jeff Lebby, the quarterback's coach from UCF, to be the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss. And I don't really know where this now leads Lane Kiffin, or Kendall Briles, rather.
It'll be interesting, right? Because he ain't going to be here. So where will he end up? It's yeah.
So he was rehabilitated enough to be an OC at. I mean, he was clean enough to stay on at Baylor because Jim Grobe didn't kept him on staff, and then when Rule came in, Rule obviously started from scratch. I guess Lane Kiffin doesn't have to really calling a lot of favors at FAU to get Kendall Briles to be his offensive coordinator, but he did. He brought him in there, and then they had real good success, enough that he went back to his alma mater. He went back to Houston. That's a bigger job, bigger profile job than FAU. Then he's able to come to Florida State. But apparently, with some of the things going around Ole Miss, with their, I guess they're still maybe on the back end of their probation from the whole gas mask fiasco. True thing that we just say. It's great. What a time to be alive. Like, what does he have to do to be able to? I mean, I'm not trying to. There's a lot of people that are on down times that haven't done anything remotely bad, but just have terribly bad luck. Like, what is he going to have to do to just become looked upon as like what he can be as a coach, and not his name kind of like drag him down? Because like Randy Clements is hireable. Randy Clements is probably going to.
Yeah, but I don't think you don't think Briles is. I mean, it didn't drag it down that much. He was just the OC at Florida State.
I know, but where is he going to go from here?
But I don't think that's because of his name. I think that's because the guy he worked for got axed, and the dude that's coming in is an OC. That's just bad luck.
Right, but
I think another school will hire him as an OC. I think Georgia should hire him as their OC.
I do too, but I haven't heard any sort of smoke or anything about it. Like, do you think he's going to end up at a Power 5 program as an OC?
Well, I mean, if he doesn't, it's not. But I don't think it'll be because of the last name.
Just
he
timing
is now
or
removed from it, and he's 4 or 5 years removed from that. It's his dad that has the that's why the Briles name is kind of like
whatever. Yeah, carry on.
What I mean.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the word. What word was I looking for? I didn't want to say untouchable.
I don't even want to use the name because then people get all upset. Remember when you get upset when you wrote your column?
Thanks. I do, man. Hey,
Thanks,
year later. Yeah, no lie. And they got upset when I wrote the Clements column, too, because I was like, he fired Greg Fry. This guy obviously wants to – he's saving him. He's trying to save his job. That's why Willie Taggart did that. Yeah. It's fine. Anyway, so I don't think he's far enough removed from the stuff at Baylor, the awful stuff at Baylor. And he really had no role in it that we know of for sure, obviously. Yeah. But there was stink associated with that name for sure. And but he was just the coordinator at FAU, Houston, now Florida State. It's removed enough that I don't think that it would be an issue.
I'm like Ole Miss, like he's like Ole Miss of all places.
Kiffin,
Ole Miss likes playing on playing on full tilt.
But do we know that like Kiffin wanted him, and they're like, no, we can't risk that with his last name.
Why would you get Jeff Lebby? Jeff Lebby's like he's like Fredo. Why would you get the son-in-law when you got the son?
But didn't he only work at FAU for a year, or was it 2 years?
Just 1 year, and then he went to Houston.
Yeah, so maybe they didn't work well together. Then there's that.
I don't think.
I mean, I know they put up numbers, but maybe they didn't work well together.
Well, he's interviewing Randy Clements. I don't know. It's crazy that you
maybe
would
Kiffin
think
didn't like him.
That he had a. I mean, obviously, actually, wasn't going to be kept in Houston because Dana Holgerson was coming into town, but he probably felt really good about where he was at Houston, and then that falls through. But then he lands on his feet at Florida State, and then now, he doesn't take the job at Tennessee last year because they wouldn't. Jeremy Pruitt didn't want to get rid of his offensive line coach, Will Friend, I think, who's his literal, long-time, lifelong friend. So Briles doesn't go to Tennessee.
Luckily, his name wasn't Will Enemy. Hey-o. Anyway, go ahead.
So then Briles kind of, as I don't know, maybe of an act of loyalty, maybe not, just self-preservation or whatever. Him and Clements are kind of joined the hip. They come here together, and Kendall kind of does his part to help things out. It doesn't go the way – I mean, I don't know. Maybe they thought it probably won't work with Will, and then maybe we actually can get – that was the head coaching.
There was a risk that there was an inherent risk in him coming here when he did. Now, it was the best offer he had on the table for sure. But there was always the risk if Florida State started slow and looked as bad as they looked that things might get ugly in November and he might be out of a job. Now, that's why he got a 2-year guarantee. My man, it doesn't matter if my man coaches this year. He's making $1 million, so I'm not playing a violin for him.
Right.
But what he did this year. And it wasn't great. It wasn't huge fireworks every week. But the improvement the offense made, almost 8 more points per game, almost 60 yards per game, I just don't think that can – with the same offensive line and really the same players. Maybe the same quarterbacking, like just not good quarterbacking either. For them to still average what they average and make that improvement, I think this was a positive for him. I don't think when he's interviewing for another job, he might go interview for an NFL job. Now he wouldn't be an NFL OC, I don't think, but he could go be an NFL quarterbacks coach. If there's not a fit this year at a college, he could go do that for a year or two and then get back in the college game. I think he's going to be doing this for 25 years. I just think it's bad timing right now because everybody that was going to be fired has been fired, right?
Right.
So there just aren't a lot of openings that would be.
Everyone's supposed to be hired has been I guess, hired as well, too. So
Yeah, and then he's not going with Willie, apparently, to FAU. So
no respect, no loyalty, man.
I guess, man. Well, Willie wants to get back to calling plays.
All right, let's call up Michael Langston, get the latest on the recruiting.
One thing real quick, though, just want to mention FSU women's basketball team beat St. John's.
No, take it, Johnnies.
Yeah, it was a close game, but Florida State pulled it out in the end and is now 10-0 on the season. And I assume going to be ranked in the top 6 or 7 again this week. They're 8 now, but they should move up even from that. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure this might be her best ever team. She's had some good ones.
Do they have a bunch of players, or are they still going like short shrift on?
No, they don't. It's not the 6-man rotation that she'll 6-woman rotation she'll sometimes have, but they're never going to be Leonard. She's never going to be Leonard and play 12, but it's like 8.
Okay.
I know she's got a couple of McDonald's All-Americans that either come off the bench or don't play a whole lot.
Yeah.
They're in the rotation, but they're not guys they're not women that are playing 30 minutes a game. So that's kind of how deep they are. Is they have 2 McDonald's All-Americans that just play here and there. Yeah. So that's a good sign, right?
Definitely a good sign. All right, let's call Michael Langston and get some recruiting news. We'll be right back. It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's. Second half of the show is brought to you by Birch Orthodontics. For nearly 20 years, Birch Orthodontics has been providing world-class orthodontic care right here in Tallahassee, and they've been doing it with the kind of down-home customer service that keeps all of their clients smiling. Whether you or your loved one needs braces or Invisalign treatments, Dr. Heather Birch and her staff are trained in all of the latest techniques. And the best part is, they'll include you in every step of the decision-making process. They'll work with you to craft the perfect treatment plan and payment options to suit your needs. So if you're looking for family-friendly orthodontic care in a comfortable, stress-free environment, Birch Orthodontics isn't just your best choice, it's your only choice. Visit www.birchorthodontics.com. That's BURCH orthodontics.com for more information and to set up your free consultation today. Or you can call the office directly at 850-877-1692. 850-877-1692.
What's up, folks? Welcome into a special edition of Wake Up Warchant. It's also in video version. It's been stripped down to also go at the end of the podcast with myself and Corey. Michael Langston here with me to break down recruiting. Michael, how are you, man?
I'm fantastic.
Man,
I'm as fantastic as you can be in being out there for 12 hours. So, yeah, I'm fantastic.
Well, who's keeping track, right? 12 hours?
Yeah, I mean, it's just hours. I mean, so who cares? It's just time. It's just a clock.
All right, let's get to it. I guess the most important thing, man, quarterback. We obviously know Tate Rodemaker, sorry. He committed, so that's a good thing. Yeah. Where else does Florida State stand with my boy Chubba Purdy?
Yeah, Chubba Purdy visited this weekend. We were not able to get up with him. He declined an interview, which I kind of expected, so that wasn't really a surprise. The vibe I get is that FSU feels they nailed everything that they wanted to on this weekend. Academic presentation was elite as far as what I've been told. The family was really extremely impressed. John Thrasher was actually involved in that, the president, John Thrasher, and it was very video detailed as far as whatever his major is. I've heard it was very profiled very well as far as explained, and he really just, as far as going to coaches, he really connected in a big way with Coach Norvell and Coach Dillingham. I think he feels very comfortable with them. Obviously, a lot of this is all last minute, so when you're doing this stuff, you got to put that in consideration when it comes to a decision when he decides either to stick with Louisville or go to FSU. And the feeling I get is that FSU feels positive about how it went. They don't have a definitive answer that they're getting them, but I think they feel like they got a little bit of momentum. But still, he's going to go home, obviously think about it, and then maybe Monday or Tuesday or something like that, he'll make a decision on what he's going to do. But I think it could go either way, to be honest, Aslan. I think it could go either way. But I think FSU, the fact that FSU was able to bring this kid in basically 1 week is flat amazing. And a kid that it's very rare that kids come in that are committed to schools right before they sign. That's a very rare thing to happen. So I think it was a big deal that Norvell, whether he pulls this off or not, I think it shows you his recruiting prowess that, he's a very strong recruiter, and he's shown that already.
I did some research, Michael. Chubba Purdy, sorry, bud. He actually has a sister who goes to Florida Southern. So let's bring the family together, y'all. Let's bring the family together. Get out of Arizona, come to Florida. Skill position-wise, Brian Robinson, probably the biggest fish, I would think, still out there for Florida State. He made it on campus. What were your thoughts on him making it there, what that means for Florida State, and any sort of feedback you might have heard from Brian?
Yeah, Brian was another that they kind of sneaked away. But I felt like the biggest news going into this visit weekend to me was Ron Dugan's being retained. I think that was a big deal because it was a big deal to you had three receivers basically on campus. You had Brian Robinson, J.K. Harris, and you also had Douglas. Jackley Douglas. And then you also had Malachi Weidman on campus. So I think that was a big deal, probably more so with any of the guys. I think it was important to all of them, but I think it was the most important to Brian because Brian has the longest relationship. That's why he committed to Miami originally, was Dugan's. So I think getting him on board, that really checked off a major box for them. And I think really the only thing left was for, Brian to get comfortable with the new offensive coordinator. I've heard they really, clicked it off as far as very well connected, and he likes what this offense is going to do. And I think come Wednesday, barring something surprising and some shift, I think he's going to be a Seminole.
What about my boy Jay Griffiths? What's up, my boy Griff, man? Staying going. What's going on?
Yeah, we did an interview with him tonight. It's on Warchant. He talked about how he was very shocked just on how much he really liked this coaching staff, how shocked he was with Coach Norvell, how shocked he was with Coach Adam Fuller. Adam Fuller, the DC. I think he was very impressed with him, but it was a more specific plan, and we heard this a lot from the recruits it feels a lot different than what it was with the previous staff. It just feels a lot different where these guys are much more detailed, organizations much more detailed, and then also there's a better flow. Even for all the media out there, we all saw it was just a better flow of kids coming in and out, and when they go in, you had some come out, so it was kind of easy to get up with them and leave, and so. But I think overall, Josh Griffiths, he's going to decide between Louisville and FSU. And while Josh said all these things to make it, build up, I think, drama with, whether he sticks Louisville or goes to FSU, I think in the end, I think because they got Odell, that's the one thing I go back to with Josh. Josh said, if Odell stays, I'm going there. So I think you add all that up and you add up the visit. I think FSU is going to win out, and I think Josh Griffiths, for the fourth commitment that he's made, is going to be the final one, and I think he will sign with FSU on Wednesday.
Overall, Michael, how do you think the kids that were committed to Florida State, were committed to Willie Taggart, more or less? I mean, how do you think they came away from the weekend?
I think they were all blown away. I think they were all I think you could even say in some senses they were all shocked of how much they loved it because the preparation for these guys was so good. Like Jayon McCluster was telling me that Adam Fuller knew every details about how he was used in how McCluster was used in high school, his strengths, his weaknesses. He knew things that he can make better with Jayon. And also just knew a lot about his recruitment and a lot of things that were important to him. And so it shows you the detail that these guys lock in on, as far as this coaching staff. And I think I honestly I didn't share this with anybody. I was actually a little bit concerned of, okay, what are these linebackers going to do if Raymond Woody leaves? What are they going to do? Because it didn't look like they're going to retain him anyway. And it still does. I don't think they probably will, but I don't think they will. But the point was, at the end of the visit, by the time I talked to Stephen Dix and I talked to Jayon McCluster, that was not a concern to them. I think Adam Fuller hit such a home run that they see how awesome a defensive coordinator is, just the schemes he knows, the situation he knows, the things he helped them with as far as technique, even on just the visit and talking. I think that sold them completely. I think they were all sold after that, and I think And then at the end, they just basically said, it doesn't matter who the linebacker coach is. It's kind of basically, if they can hire somebody this good as Coach Fuller, we know they're going to hire somebody good at linebackers coach. So I'm not really worried about it. That's kind of the gist of what the recruit said. And that's no slight to Woody. It just shows you the recruiting ability that Fuller has, and also that kids are already pitching in and selling or buying what he's selling of what he can do as a coach, and how he can get them to the next level. And I think a lot of these kids like this defense because for people that haven't watched Memphis, it is an extremely aggressive defense, a lot of blitzes, a lot of press man coverage. Defensive line really gets after it. They really get after the quarterback. You watch all their defenses. His defenses really get after the quarterback. So I think that was a very big attraction to a lot of these kids when they got there. And I think I have not encountered one kid that was not with extreme high impressions of this staff of Dillingham, Fuller, and Norvell. And I think it all goes back to Norvell. And he's really trying to set a culture of, I want you to earn everything, and nothing's going to be giving here. If you want to get where you want to go, I'm going to help you get there. I'm going to ride you. I'm going to push you. I'm going to stay on you all the time. I'm going to love on you, but I'm also going to push you hard. So I'm going to get you prepared for the next level or wherever you go in your life. But in college, you're going to be prepared. They're going to be developed, and I think that's kind of the takeaway I had from the staff with the recruits.
Well, that's really good stuff, obviously, Michael. But, sometimes there's not enough seats on the train, if you will. I guess one of the casualties of that was the offensive lineman out of IMG, Alex Adakevich. Right. Sounds like that was kind of, I don't know, mutual is the right way to put it, but sort of maybe not enough space right now. But that might portend to good news for Florida State if it does come at the cost of a scholarship for Alex, right?
It definitely wasn't mutual. Yeah. I can tell you that. Alex was ready to sign. Alex was having a great time. And then Alex told us right before he's going in, I just got to go meet with Coach Norvell, and I'll come see you guys in a minute. And he was pumped. He was ready. My feeling of the situation is FSU got some news today that, maybe they got a commitment from a position of need that's bigger than the offensive guard, because they look pretty good at the guard position interior. I think they're okay there. But I think they got some news today, in my opinion, that at bigger positions, like they're going to need to sign a lot of running backs. They're going to need to sign a lot of offensive tackles. Certainly they need some defensive ends. And, they certainly need, one more receiver if they can. So I think there's positions. So I think probably, I don't have any information to back that up, but usually when this happens, that's what happens when you have a bigger need at another position. Sometimes you have to wait and see. And basically what they're telling Alex is, look, if you have to sign, we understand. If you have to sign early, we understand. But at the same time, we have to see where our numbers are going to match up. And I don't think they were counting on whatever happened when they crunched the numbers or whatever news they got today. So I think they had to readdress the plan, and they were straightforward with him. And it's not that they didn't like him, because they wouldn't have wasted his time if they didn't like him. They wouldn't have went to see an M home. They wouldn't have had him on official visit. So I think something newsworthy happened with the coaching staff today.
All right, last thing for you, Michael, before we let you go. Obviously, the early signing period begins on Wednesday, but then the traditional, conventional one lies in wait in February. Are there certain targets possibly that were on campus this weekend that Florida State is feeling good about that folks might have to be a little bit patient on? They might come around, but it's probably not going to be this Wednesday. It'll have to be down the line possibly in February.
Well, I think all the kids they had today are all early signings. Obviously, I have one commitment, Jadarius McKnight. He wants to wait and sign with his teammate, but he's going to FSU. There's nothing to be concerned about. He just wants to sign with his teammate in February. So he's been a diehard Seminole for a while. So I think that's all that is. But the rest of them, I fully expect them to sign on the dotted line on Wednesday. I think I think just about everybody is going to sign. That's going to be good news for FSU. Now, if you can pull a Morven Joseph, who I think now could go either way with FSU and Tennessee, I lean a little bit based on the intel of the visit, a little more towards FSU right now. So that's been interesting, but still we have to wait and see. I have to monitor this stuff when the visit settles down, see if the information's still the same. You had Kendall Dennis that also visited, defensive back. I think he's going to sign early. I didn't get the warm and fuzzies on that one. I just still thought he was going to be Oklahoma. That's been my pick and my forecast for a while. Maybe he's a great poker player. If he is, he's good because he's got me fooled. But if he isn't, I just think it'll be Oklahoma. But I think all these guys are going to sign. I think Josh Griffiths obviously is going to sign on Wednesday. So I think what we're going to have in the later signing period, Aslan, is you're going to have a lot of new targets. I'm going to do a 12 to watch probably after signing day, after this early signing day. Probably work on that. I've got to figure out who these guys are because right now it's tough going to figure out, the targets. I know everyone wants to know, Michael, who's the offensive tackle targets, and who's this, and who's the running back targets, and it's guys that's what I got to figure out. I got a new staff, but it takes time. I gotta do digging and get the right people, but there's going to be new targets, Aslan. We mentioned that quarterback. Say they didn't get Purdy. I think Robbie Ashford will be a guy that they're probably going to offer right away. We talked about him the last time we spoke from Hoover, Alabama. He's a guy that I think they like, and I think there'll be more targets at quarterback because the one thing I can say about this staff is they back up everything. If they're going after a guy, they always have a backup plan of somebody else. If they're going, no matter what the position is. So I'm expecting when I do this list that I'm going to have, it's going to be 12, but I think I'm going to have, probably 20.
Yeah, give them more. Give them more, Michael.
Comes to that. So I just got to figure out who they are and who the major targets are because I think some of them are going to be JUCO. I think some of them are going to be high school kids. So we just got to figure it out. And I know people are going to ask, they'll be mad at me if I didn't mention this. Yes, they are going to look heavily in the transfer portal market. That's going to be a place they probably live in because they know they have to. They know, here's the bottom line, they know they have to flip this offensive line. They have to get 5 new guys or 4 new guys. They have to do something to flip what's going on and what they have on the roster currently because it's not going to give them a chance to succeed. Say you get 2 grad transfers on the offensive tackle, one on the left, one on the right. That would really benefit your situation as far as going forward. They need somebody who can help them right now. So whether that's a JUCO or grad transfer guy, I think that's what they're going to focus heavily on in this later signing period. So I think they'll live in that transfer portal. Certainly they're going to spend a lot of time, on stuff like that. The running backs, I could see them signing a JUCO guy there as well. They know they need 3 or 4 because the bottom line is you have Kalen Laybourne, and who knows if he can stay out of trouble and not do something stupid. I mean, he's already been suspended, so we don't even know if he's going to play in the bowl game. So you can't count on guys that do stuff like that. So you have to pretend like, even though he will be there next year, I think he'll have a chance to contribute. But you have to plan like he's not there. So they need like 3 or 4 backs in this class. I think if they get 3, they're good. But you get 4, I think that puts you at a good position. But say you sign Toafili, okay, that's 1, and you basically you're going at the least get 2 more, and that'll get you in a good position. So I think they see that there's a lot of holes, and they're going to use whatever avenue of work to make that happen. If they got to go transfer portal, they'll do it. And I think we've seen that dedication and aggressiveness of this staff just in this 1 week with all the guys they got on campus. I mean, 1 week and they got all these guys on campus. So it tells you a lot about how aggressive the staff's going to be. And they still really only have 3 new coaches. So imagine what they do when they get a full staff of these guys. So I think that's what I think is the plan.
Look at that. There's so much more to know about, and it's all over on Warchant.com on the premium recruiting board. This is taped, so get over there right now for the latest and greatest from Michael Langston over on the premium recruiting board. Use the promo code SAVE50FSU to get 50% off an annual membership if you're a new and first-time subscriber. Michael, as always, man, I appreciate your time, buddy. It's a wrap. We'll talk to you later.
You got it.